The Xarathi Grand Admiral Valzek stared at the holographic display with his 4 compound eyes, each one analyzing different aspects of the human defense patterns. His exoskeleton reflected the blue glow of the tactical readouts as his mandibles clicked in frustration. Impossible, he chittered to his subordinate. They've adapted to our phase shift technology in mere days. Commander Thriz's antennae twitched nervously. Perhaps we underestimated them, Admiral. They are primitives. Valzek slammed his armored appendage against the console. Their civilization is barely a flicker in galactic time. They should have surrendered after we destroyed their lunar colony. Yet they fight, Thriz observed quietly. Unlike any species we've encountered. The Admiral's compound eyes narrowed. Because they don't understand they're already defeated. As Valzek turned away, Thriz studied the captured human transmission playing silently on a secondary screen. In it, a human female stood before her troops, eyes burning with determination as she spoke. Though Thriz couldn't hear the words, something in her posture made his exoskeleton feel suddenly cold. The Xarathi had conquered 12 star systems. Yet something about these humans felt different. Major Diana Chen ignored the burning pain in her side as she maneuvered through the rubble of what had once been a thriving outpost on Europa. The cold of Jupiter's moon seeped through her damaged exosuit, but the suit's integrity remained just enough to keep her alive barely. Blood had dried along her temple where shrapnel had grazed her during the initial bombardment 3 days ago. Behind her moved Lieutenant Adebayo, his normally immaculate uniform now torn and stained with hydraulic fluid from the combat mech he'd piloted until it was shot down. They were the only survivors of Outpost Prometheus. Tell me again why we're heading toward the alien ship instead of away from it? Adebayo whispered, his voice steady despite everything. Because that's where they'll least expect us, Diana replied, checking the makeshift scanner she'd cobbled together from salvaged parts. And because I'm tired of running. The massive Xarathi vessel hovered 2 kilometers away, its crystalline structure pulsing with energy that distorted the space around it. Smaller scout ships patrolled the perimeter, their sensors sweeping methodically across Europa's icy surface. We've lost nearly all contact with Earth, Diana continued. The lunar colony is gone. Mars colonies are under siege. We need intelligence more than we need safety. Adebayo nodded grimly. And after we get this intelligence? Diana's eyes hardened. Then we make them regret ever entering our solar system. They moved silently through the ice canyons, using the natural formations for cover. Diana's mind raced, calculating, adapting. The aliens, the Xarathi, as they called themselves in their first and only communication, had superior technology in every way. Their energy weapons cut through Earth's most advanced shielding like paper. Their ships moved with a grace that defied conventional physics, yet in 3 days of desperate fighting, Diana had noticed something. The Xarathi were methodical. Predictable. They followed patterns, efficient, lethal patterns, but patterns nonetheless. They fight like machines, she murmured. What's that, Major? Adebayo asked. The Xarathi. They're ruthlessly efficient, but they lack creativity. Every attack follows the same sequence. Every defense deploys in the same pattern. They reached a ridge overlooking the alien landing zone. Below them, Xarathi troops, 8-foot-tall insectoid creatures with iridescent exoskeletons, moved with perfect coordination, setting up what appeared to be mining equipment. Diana pulled out a small device. This transmitter should be able to piggyback on their own communication system. If I can get it close enough. That's suicide, Adebayo stated flatly. Probably, Diana agreed. But we need to understand them if we're going to beat them. She checked her sidearm, a standard-issue pulse pistol that had proven largely ineffective against Xarathi armor. Cover me. If I don't make it back, try to get the data to whoever's left in command. Before Adebayo could protest, Diana began making her way down the ridge, using the shadows and ice formations for cover. Her breathing was steady, her movements deliberate. Generations of military training coursed through her veins, not just her own training, but that of her mother who had fought in the lunar conflicts, her grandfather who had served in the resource wars. Warfare was in human DNA, Diana thought grimly. She approached the perimeter, watching the patterns of the sentries. 3 steps left, pause, scan, 3 steps right, pause, scan. Mechanical. Predictable, Diana counted silently, then darted forward during the precisely calculated gap in their patrol pattern. She slid beneath a hovering transport vehicle, its anti-gravity field buzzing inches from her face. From her position, she could see the central command structure, a crystalline dome that pulsed with the same energy as their ships. She needed to get closer. A sudden commotion erupted at the far side of the camp. Diana saw Adebayo, exposed on a ridge, firing his weapon wildly into the air. Xarathi troops immediately converged on his position, their movements synchronized like a single organism. "Damn it, Adebayo," Diana hissed. But she understood. He was creating a diversion. With the Xarathi distracted, Diana sprinted toward the command dome, staying low. She reached the structure and pressed the transmitter against its surface, activating the device. It began to glow softly as it synchronized with the alien technology. A shadow fell over her. Diana turned, finding herself face to face with a Xarathi warrior, its mandibles clicking in what might have been surprise. Diana didn't hesitate. She drove her combat knife, a physical blade, not an energy weapon, up through the small gap in the alien's exoskeleton just below its head. The Xarathi gave a high-pitched screech before collapsing. Alarms blared across the compound. Diana grabbed the transmitter, which was now pulsing steadily, indicating a successful data link. She ran, not toward the ridge where she'd left Adebayo, but deeper into the alien complex. If she was going to die here, she'd gather as much intelligence as possible first. As she ran, her transmitter beeped, indicating it was receiving data. Diana allowed herself a small, grim smile. Whatever happened next, Earth now had a window into Xarathi communications. It wasn't much, but it was a start, and humans, throughout their bloody history, had accomplished miracles with less. General Hiroshi Tanaka stood before the hastily assembled War Council in the underground facility beneath the ruins of Geneva. His weathered face remained impassive as he studied the holographic display of the solar system, now dotted with Xarathi positions. 3 weeks, he said quietly. 3 weeks since first contact, and we've lost control of everything beyond Earth's atmosphere. The room was silent. The council consisted of military leaders from what remained of Earth's unified defense forces, along with the scientists and engineers who had been frantically working to understand Xarathi technology. However, Tanaka continued, thanks to Major Chen's transmitter, we now have our first real insight into our enemy. He nodded to Dr. Eliza Mbeki, who stepped forward. The data stream Major Chen established before her capture has been invaluable, Dr. Mbeki explained, bringing up a new holographic display showing complex mathematical equations and alien script. The Xarathi communicate through a form of encrypted quantum entanglement. It's taken our AI systems working around the clock to decode even a fraction of it, but we've learned 2 critical things. She expanded the display. First, the Xarathi are a highly specialized species. Each individual is bred and augmented for a specific function within their society. They don't adapt to new roles or situations easily. Which explains their rigid tactical patterns, added Colonel Jimenez, the head of what remained of Earth's special forces. Exactly, Dr. Mbeki nodded. Second, and perhaps more importantly, they're mining Europa and our other outer system resources for a specific isotope xenium-238. It's an element we've barely studied because of its extreme instability, but the Xarathi have technology that can harness its energy potential. So they're not just here to conquer, Tanaka mused. They're harvesting. Yes, but there's more. Dr. Mbeki's expression tightened. Based on the communication patterns, we believe Major Chen is still alive. The Xarathi are studying her. The room fell silent again. Diana Chen's sacrifice had given them their first real intelligence, but the thought of what she might be enduring was sobering. We need to get her out, said a voice from the back of the room. Adebayo stepped forward, his arm in a sling. He had managed to escape Europa after creating the diversion that allowed Chen to plant the transmitter. Not just because she's our best tactical mind, but because whatever they learn from her, they'll use against us. Lieutenant, with all due respect, we don't have the resources for a rescue mission, Colonel Jimenez responded. We're barely holding our defense line around Earth as it is. Actually, Dr. Mbeki interjected, a small team might be able to infiltrate the Europa facility using the phase shift technology we've reverse-engineered from salvaged Xarathi equipment. She brought up another display showing a sleek, dark craft. The Nightshade. It's a prototype stealth vessel incorporating the phase shift technology. It can temporarily exist partly out of normal spacetime, making it effectively invisible to Xarathi sensors. One ship? Colonel Jimenez scoffed. Against their entire fleet? One ship is all we need, Adebayo insisted. Major Chen taught us that the Xarathi follow patterns. If we can predict those patterns, a small team could get in and out before they even realize we're there. General Tanaka studied the young lieutenant thoughtfully. And I suppose you're volunteering to lead this mission, Lieutenant? Yes, sir. I know the Europa outpost. I know how the Xarathi operate there. And I owe it to the Major. Tanaka was silent for a long moment, weighing the risks against the potential rewards. Finally, he nodded. Assemble your team, Lieutenant. You leave in 24 hours. As the meeting dispersed, Tanaka gazed at the holographic display of the solar system. Earth glowed blue and green amid the darkness, surrounded by the red markers of Xarathi forces. We evolved as predators on a world of predators, he murmured to himself. It's time we reminded them what that means. Diana Chen floated in a translucent tank filled with a gelatinous substance that kept her alive while allowing the Xarathi to study her. Electrodes connected to her skull monitored her brain activity, while other instruments analyzed everything from her cellular structure to her neural responses. She had lost track of time. Days, maybe weeks had passed since her capture. The Xarathi scientists, smaller than the warriors, with more delicate appendages moved around her tank, chittering to each other in their incomprehensible language. Diana remained conscious through it all, her military training allowing her to compartmentalize the pain and fear. More importantly, she watched. She learned. Every procedure, every test revealed something about Xarathi psychology and biology. The door to the laboratory slid open, and a larger Xarathi entered. From the ornate patterns on its exoskeleton and the deference shown by the scientists, Diana recognized this one as a high-ranking officer, perhaps even the fleet commander she had glimpsed in transmissions before her capture. Grand Admiral Valzek approached the tank, his compound eyes focusing on Diana with an intensity that felt almost personal. A translation device attached to his exoskeleton activated. You continue to resist our neural probes, Valzek's artificial voice stated. Impressive, but ultimately futile. Diana said nothing, conserving her strength and focus. Your species is an anomaly, Valzek continued, circling the tank. In all our conquests across 12 systems, we have never encountered a species that fights as you do. All other intelligent life evolved from prey animals, beings that learn to think, to cooperate, to build technology because they needed to survive predators. He tapped a claw against the glass. But you humans, you evolved as predators. Your eyes are forward-facing, for hunting. Your teeth are designed for tearing flesh. Your bodies are built for pursuit. You turned on larger predators and hunted them to extinction. You are primitives playing with technology you barely understand, yet you refuse to accept your inevitable defeat. Diana finally spoke, her voice weak but steady. That's why you'll lose, Admiral. You evolved to follow patterns. We evolved to break them. Valzek's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Bold words from a specimen in a tank. Your lunar colony is destroyed. Your Mars outposts have fallen. Your Earth is surrounded. What possible advantage could you have? Diana smiled faintly. We're adaptable. And we're patient. And we know something you don't. And what is that? Predators can also be prey. Her eyes flicked briefly to a point behind Valzek, so quickly it might have been involuntary. The Admiral turned, suddenly alert, but saw nothing unusual in the laboratory. When he looked back at Diana, her eyes were closed, her expression calm. The monitors showed she had deliberately slowed her heart rate and brain activity, entering a meditative state that rendered the neural probes even less effective. Valzek chittered orders to the scientists and strode from the room, mandibles twitching in irritation. This human female was proving more trouble than anticipated. Perhaps it was time to simply extract what useful genetic material they could and dispose of the specimen. As the door closed behind him, Diana opened one eye slightly. The Xarathi scientists had returned to their work, following their precise, predictable patterns. She closed her eye again and continued to wait. Humans had evolved as ambush predators, after all. Patience was in their blood. The nightshade emerged from phase shift 20 kilometers from the Europa facility, appearing like a shadow against the icy surface. Inside, Lieutenant Adebayo and his team of 5 specialists checked their equipment one final time. "Remember, we're operating on a strict timeline," Adebayo reminded them. 60 minutes from insertion to extraction. The phase shift drive needs at least 2 hours to recharge, so if we miss our window, we're stuck here. Dr. Khatri, a field medic who had also helped develop their reverse-engineered Xarathi technology, inspected the portable phase shift devices each team member wore on their wrists. "These will only work for 15 minutes before burning out. Use them wisely." The team consisted of Adebayo, Dr. Khatri, Sergeant Jackson, Demolitions, Corporal Nakamura, Communications, Private Rodriguez, Heavy Weapons, and Captain Lee, Pilot. They were Earth's best and possibly last hope for retrieving both Major Chen and the additional intelligence they desperately needed. Approaching drop point, Captain Lee announced from the cockpit. "Nightshade sensors confirm Xarathi patrol patterns are consistent with Major Chen's initial observations. We have a 30-second window." The team moved to the drop bay. When the indicator light flashed green, they leapt from the ship, their suits equipped with thrusters to guide their descent toward the Xarathi facility below. They landed silently on the facility's outer dome, their magnetized boots adhering to the crystalline surface. Sergeant Jackson placed a specialized cutting device against the structure. Unlike traditional tools, this one phased slightly out of normal spacetime, allowing it to bypass the Xarathi material's incredible strength. "I'm in," Jackson whispered after creating an opening large enough for them to slip through. No alarms triggered. One by one, they entered the facility, finding themselves in a maintenance corridor bathed in the same pulsing blue light that characterized all Xarathi technology. Corporal Nakamura consulted the holographic map projected from her wrist device. "Life signs matching human parameters detected 3 levels down," she reported. "Also detecting high energy readings consistent with their quantum communication hub." Adebayo nodded. Jackson and Rodriguez set charges at these points. He marked locations on the shared map. "Dr. Khatri and Nakamura, with me to retrieve the Major. We rendezvous at Point Epsilon in 40 minutes. The team split up, moving through the facility with practiced stealth. They had trained for weeks in simulations based on Major Chen's data, learning to predict and exploit the patterns of Xarathi movement and security measures. Adebayo led his group down through the levels, freezing occasionally as Xarathi guards passed. Unlike human security, which adapted and varied its routines to prevent predictability, the Xarathi patrols followed the same paths, at the same intervals. With mechanical precision they reached the laboratory level and paused outside a sealed door. Nakamura's scanner showed multiple Xarathi life signs inside, along with one human. "She's alive," Nakamura confirmed, "but her vitals are weak." Adebayo checked the time. "We're 3 minutes ahead of schedule. Wait for the patrol to pass, then we move." A group of Xarathi warriors marched past their position, moving in perfect synchronization. The moment they turned the corner, Adebayo activated his phase shift device. His body shimmered, becoming semi-transparent as he partially shifted out of normal spacetime. He passed through the sealed door as if it were mist, materializing inside the laboratory. The 3 Xarathi scientists didn't notice him immediately, their attention focused on their instruments. By the time they detected his presence, Adebayo had already disabled 2 of them with precisely placed stunner shots. The 3rd scientist reached for an alarm, but froze as Dr. Khatri and Nakamura phased through the wall behind it, weapons raised. "Don't move," Adebayo ordered, though he wasn't sure the Xarathi understood human speech. He approached the tank where Major Chen floated, seemingly unconscious. "Dr. Khatri, can we safely remove her?" Khatri scanned the tank with her medical device. "Yes, but we need to do it carefully. The fluid is keeping her stable." As they worked to extract Diana from the tank, Nakamura moved to a crystalline console at the center of the room. "This appears to be their main research database," she said, attaching a quantum infiltration device to its surface. "Downloading now." Diana's eyes fluttered open as they lifted her from the tank. Recognition dawned in her gaze as she saw Adebayo. "Lieutenant," she whispered, voice hoarse. "You're late." Despite everything, Adebayo smiled. "Traffic was hell, Major." The Grand Admiral, Diana managed as Dr. Khatri administered emergency medical treatment. "Valzek. He's here. On Europa." Adebayo exchanged glances with Nakamura. This wasn't in their intelligence. "Are you sure?" Diana nodded weakly. "He's been personally overseeing my interrogation. Their command ship is docked on the far side of the facility." "Download complete," Nakamura announced. "We have everything: research data, tactical information, communication protocols." Adebayo's mind raced. Their mission was to retrieve Major Chen and whatever intelligence they could, then escape. But if the Xarathi Grand Admiral was indeed here? Change of plans, he decided. "Nakamura, contact Jackson and Rodriguez. Tell them to redirect 2 of their charges to the coordinates I'm sending the far side docking bay." "Lieutenant," Dr. Khatri warned, "the Major needs immediate medical attention. She's stable for now, but I don't know how long that will last." "And billions need us to end this war," Diana countered, her strength seemingly returning with each passing moment. "If Valzek is here, we have a chance to cut off the head of the snake." Adebayo hesitated, then nodded. 30 minutes to rendezvous. Let's move." Grand Admiral Valzek stood on the bridge of his command ship, reviewing the latest mining reports from the harvesting operations across the Jupiter system. The Xenium-238 yields were exceeding projections, which would please the Hive matriarch. A subordinate approached, mandibles twitching nervously. "Admiral, we've detected an anomaly in Security Grid 7. Several monitors experienced momentary disruptions." "System malfunction?" Valzek inquired, not particularly concerned. "Possibly, but the pattern is inconsistent with previous technical failures. Something about this triggered Valzek's instincts, a sense developed over centuries of warfare that something wasn't right. Increase security around the human specimen," he ordered. "And begin preparations for my departure. I will return to the fleet within the hour." Before the subordinate could acknowledge the command, the entire facility shook with a distant explosion. Alarms blared across all frequencies. "We're under attack," a tactical officer reported. Multiple explosions detected in the research sector. Valzek's compound eyes narrowed. "The human specimen? Security feeds are down. We can't confirm another explosion, closer this time," cut off the officer's response. The lights flickered, and for a moment, the bridge was illuminated only by the eerie blue glow of the control consoles. "Lock down all sectors," Valzek commanded. "Deploy all warriors to the bulkhead." Door to the bridge suddenly shimmered, and through it stepped 4 figures, 3 in human military exosuits, and 1 wearing only a medical wrap. Major Diana Chen stood at the center, supported by Lieutenant Adebayo but holding a Xarathi energy weapon with steady hands. Despite her weakened state, her eyes burned with a ferocity that gave even Valzek pause. "Admiral Valzek," she said, her voice stronger than it had been in the laboratory. "I believe we have unfinished business." The Xarathi bridge crew reached for weapons, but froze as Sergeant Jackson held up a detonator. "The entire docking clamp is rigged to blow," he warned. "One wrong move, and this ship goes nowhere." Valzek's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. "You cannot hope to escape. Even if you destroy this vessel, the fleet will hunt you down." "We're not here to escape," Diana replied, taking a step forward. Her legs trembled slightly, but her aim remained unwavering. "We're here to deliver a message." She nodded to Corporal Nakamura, who activated a device on her wrist. Every screen on the bridge suddenly displayed the same image, a detailed schematic of Xarathi phase shift technology, alongside what appeared to be weapon designs. "In 3 weeks, we've not only understood your technology but improved upon it," Diana explained. The transmitter I planted didn't just gather intelligence, it's been broadcasting everything you did to me back to Earth. Valzek's compound eyes widened slightly. Impossible. Our quantum communications cannot be intercepted. They can't be intercepted, but they can be piggybacked, Nakamura corrected. Your communication security is impressive, but it's based on mathematical constants. It never evolves or adapts. Unlike us, Diana added. She gestured to the screens, which now showed a new image: dozens of small craft in Earth orbit, each equipped with modified versions of the Xarathi's own weapons. Right now, Earth is launching phase-shift missiles that can bypass your shields entirely. Your fleet won't even detect them until it's too late. You're bluffing, Valzek hissed, though uncertainty had crept into his posture. Diana smiled grimly. Am I? You said it yourself, Admiral. Humans evolved as predators. We don't just adapt to survive, we adapt to hunt. To kill. Everything in our evolutionary history has prepared us for this moment. She stepped closer, her weapon now pointed directly at Valzek's head. But we're offering you a choice. Withdraw your forces from our system, or we will hunt you to extinction. Valzek studied her, his ancient mind calculating possibilities, weighing options. And if I refuse? Diana's finger tightened on the trigger. Then you'll be the first to fall. For a moment, the bridge was silent save for the pulsing of alarms and the distant rumble of explosions elsewhere in the facility. Then, slowly, deliberately, Valzek lowered himself in what appeared to be a gesture of concession. You are, unlike any species we have encountered, he admitted. Perhaps there is wisdom in strategic withdrawal. Diana nodded to Nakamura, who activated her communicator. Nightshade, this is Extraction Team. Mission accomplished. The Xarathi fleet will be receiving new orders shortly. She turned back to Valzek. You have 6 Earth hours to begin withdrawal. After that, we hunt. As they backed toward the door, keeping weapons trained on the Xarathi officers, Adebayo whispered to Diana, do we actually have those phase-shift missiles ready? Diana's expression remained unflinching. They don't know what we have, she whispered back. And fear of the unknown is the oldest survival instinct in the galaxy. 3 months later, Diana Chen stood at the viewport of the newly constructed Europa Command, gazing out at Jupiter's swirling storms. Her body had healed, though scars both physical and psychological remained from her time in Xarathi captivity. The door slid open behind her, and General Tanaka entered, accompanied by Lieutenant Adebayo, now Captain Adebayo, and Dr. Mbeki. The last Xarathi ship crossed the Kuiper Belt this morning, Tanaka announced. Long-range sensors confirm they're maintaining their withdrawal trajectory. Diana nodded, not taking her eyes off the view. They'll be back, she said quietly. Not soon, but eventually. We've intrigued them now. Challenged them. When they do return, they'll find a very different solar system, Dr. Mbeki assured her. The technology we've developed from their research has advanced our capabilities by centuries. The phase shift drive alone has opened up the possibility of interstellar travel within our lifetime. And the defense grid is nearly complete, Adebayo added. 50 automated outposts stretching from Mercury to Neptune, all equipped with the new quantum detection arrays and phase shift missiles. Diana finally turned from the viewport. The missiles that didn't exist when I threatened Valzek, she noted with a small smile. But do exist now, Tanaka confirmed. Along with much more. Your bluff bought us time, Major. We used it well. A comfortable silence fell between them as they all contemplated how close humanity had come to extinction and how dramatically the situation had reversed in just 3 months. You know, Dr. Mbeki said thoughtfully, I've been studying the Xarathi research we captured. There was something fascinating in their xenobiology files. They were genuinely puzzled by human psychology, particularly our capacity for both ruthless violence and extraordinary compassion. The duality that defined our evolution, Diana mused. We're predators who learn to cooperate, to protect our own. Most predator species are solitary. We became social. The Xarathi believe that makes us dangerous, Adebayo noted. Unpredictable. Diana walked to a holographic display showing the solar system, now ringed by the new defense network. Humanity's domain, secure once more. They're right, she said simply. She activated another display, showing the stars beyond their system countless points of light, each potentially harboring life, challenges, wonders. We evolved to survive on a world that tried to kill us at every turn, Diana continued. We outlasted ice ages and asteroids and our own self-destructive tendencies. We turned on larger predators and hunted them with nothing but sharpened sticks and cooperation. We survived because we refused to accept defeat from nature, from each other, from ourselves. She looked at her companions, these representatives of humanity's resilience. The Xarathi thought they were studying us. They didn't realize we were studying them. Learning. Adapting. A smile touched her lips. Hunting. General Tanaka stepped forward, gazing at the star map. The United Earth Council has approved the Sentinel Initiative, he announced. A deep space exploration and defense program. Major Chen, they want you to lead it. Diana raised an eyebrow. Exploration or defense? Both, Tanaka replied. We need to understand what else is out there, both potential allies and potential threats. Diana considered this, her eyes once again drawn to the countless stars. Somewhere out there, the Xarathi were returning to their home system, perhaps already planning their next encounter with the puzzling, dangerous humans. And beyond them, who knew what other civilizations waited, watching, wondering? Predators don't just defend territory, she said finally. They expand it. She reached out, her finger tracing a path through the star map outward, into the unknown. It's time we showed the galaxy who we are, Diana Chen declared, her voice filled with the determination that had saved humanity. Not just what we can survive, but what we can become. Around her, the others nodded in solemn agreement. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger, more united, more determined. The hunters were awakening. And the stars awaited.